Masterpiece women, welcome back to the Masterpiece podcast. I'm Tina Raines, and today I have the blessing of having Ashley Baillargeon with me. She is a family law attorney in Florida, and she's just a wealth of knowledge, but she's also just got a great personality. I've already enjoyed just communicating with her as we were preparing for today. So Ashley, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, we're so excited to have you, Ashley. So, Ashley, we'd like to learn a little bit more about you personally. Like, who's Ashley and how did you choose to actually do family law as a law practice?
Sure. So that's a great question. I actually get asked that quite often. So I've actually had my firm for a little over 2.5 years now. I opened a couple of months into the virus. So I'm located in Central Florida. So when I opened my firm, it was right when COVID started. So when COVID happened, I actually had an attorney job. And then when COVID happened, that job disappeared because what I was doing was no longer needed. So I started spending some time with the Lord, and I prayed about it, and I was like, God, okay, I don't have a job now. What do you want me to do? And he was very straightforward, and the answer came very quickly. It was, it's time to open your own firm, and you need to practice family law. And I was like, well, no, that's a terrible idea. I was like, I don't want to do that. So I don't know if about anyone else, but sometimes you may pray to God hoping for different responses.
I do that all the time. And when he answers it his way, I'm like, but Lord, I thought I had it all figured out in my head.
Exactly. And I was not going to do family law. I actually said it many times in law school over and over again that I was never going to do family law. I was actually going to do animal law. I was going to be an animal law attorney, not animal rights, but animal law. I had it all set up. I had my clients, the people I was not advertising. It was all set up. Everything was set up. And God was like, no, you need to do family law. And I was like, well, no, I don't want to do that. So I prayed about it like 5 more times. And I also questioned him about opening my own law firm because it was a virus. And I'm like, God, like, do you know what's going on right now? Like, of course he does. But I was like, I don't know if you really know what's going on. So anyway, so I prayed about it. It was honestly only over a few weeks though, and it was the same answer over and over again. So I opened my firm. Once he told me, I spent a couple of months researching, getting everything together, trying to do things correctly, researching how to open a law firm and make sure I did everything correct, got some mentors. And I mean, yeah, I was open in like 2 months. So I've been doing it for 2.5 years. And I will say it's been an amazing blessing. I truly do love what I do. We are a faith-based law firm. So how I normally explain that is we do not push God on you. That's not what that means. What it means is while the Florida bar ethics, they are very high. I know people who aren't attorneys are like, yeah, right. No, in all seriousness, they are very, very high. But God's standards of how me being an attorney are even higher. And those are the ethics that I hold to. We also pray for our clients. We work with a lot of counselors. We try to get them help they need. Most family law attorneys are not going to offer counseling. We do.
Because I love that. That is such a beautiful thing because you know what? When you're going through divorce, it is the most traumatic, difficult thing ever. And so having the right counselors and having that whole packet, nobody wants to go through divorce. And unfortunately, even as Christians, there's a high percentage of divorce. You know, I often say, you know, we want to prevent it. We want to do all we can. But when you do walk through that, sometimes it's by, you know, you have no choice. You want to have representation that takes good care of you and that has those biblical, you know, perspectives and those ethics.
Absolutely. Thank you. And yeah, and we don't receive any referral fee for referring the counselors. I've had people reach out to me who do not want a divorce, have said they don't want a divorce, but they just want to know what their legal options are. So I offer them in the consultation, would you like some marriage counselors? And all of the counselors that we refer to, almost all of them are believers. Almost all of them are believers. So you can even reach out to me and just ask for counselors. I don't charge anything for it. Again, I receive nothing from referring them. I just believe in giving people the information because a lot of people are hurting. And especially when people reach out to me, they might not even want a divorce. They're just, I don't know what to do. Maybe divorce is the next best option when really they might just need counseling. So I can't call myself a believer or a Christian and then just be like, yes, let me take your case. Let me take your money. When that's not even really what you wanted. And now I just hurt this family, these kids, and this just affected the rest of your life when maybe you just really needed counseling. So
I
that's
love that. I love that. That's so beautiful. That, that just gave me chills, actually. I'm like, oh, I just love that, because family is so important. And I feel like the enemy is out to destroy families.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
know he is. I see it all the time. And so having someone like yourself who can actually be that advocate for the person, and when all else fails and they are going through it, having someone with those beliefs is just amazing. So I love that. That's incredible. Now, do you do it all online, Ashley?
We do. So we're actually completely virtual. So, but if anyone wants to like see us, we can just do like a Zoom meeting. It's not a problem. But I look at it this way. I'm like, save your gas, save your money from driving. We can just have a phone call. So with my clients, we just text message them, email them or we can do a phone conversation. I always try to keep the phone conversations limited because it can get very expensive very quickly. And in family law, people will want to tell you their whole life or everything that's happened, which is understandable. They're very emotional. It's a lot, going through a lot. But I always tell people, listen, save your money because this can become a couple $100 phone call very fast. Save your money. Let's just do a text message or like an email. So, but I've never had any problems with it. If they want to see us, we'll do a Zoom. I mean, a lot of things in court are virtual now anyways. So I'm like, just, this saves you a lot of money. So I'm like, just send me a text or an email.
That's awesome. Well, look at you. So this week, it's interesting because I had you scheduled and we talked about this week. Our topic is all about patience. And one of the things that obviously walking through difficulty in marriage, sometimes you really, it requires so much patience.
Oh yeah.
And even, waiting on God to restore, waiting on God to do his work. How do you deal with patience with your clients and even with yourself personally? Talk to me a little bit about how patience affects you and your clients.
That is a great question. That's another question I get asked. I'm like, how do you do it? And I'm like, and my first answer is honestly, it's always God. There is no way I could do family law if I did not believe in God and I wasn't spending time in the word and I wasn't praying and asking God. Now, I don't ask God for patience because patience tends to get tested a lot more, but I pray, please help me to, handle these situations the way you want me to. I'm going to be the example you want me to. Me personally with my business, because it's not just the clients, I also have very hostile opposing counsel, meaning attorneys representing the other side. So the client usually isn't going to see that or whatever because I try to shield them from that. I'll tell them what we talked about. I'm always very upfront and honest, but I don't like show them how nasty that attorney can be. And it's a lot. So I will say patience, which really is me trying to practice more grace and trying to be the Christian that God wants me to be. Because how I always look at it is I am a Christian attorney. I am not an attorney who's a Christian. Christian always needs to be first. If we truly say we're believers, that is who we are. We are a believer. We are children in Christ. We're followers. So we need to always remember that in how we speak to people. And I will say because of that, it has helped me not say so many things I have wanted to say to the other side. If my clients are being difficult, and I don't take anything personally, they're going through so much. I usually get people at the most difficult time in their life. Unless they have cancer or they lose a loved one, I'm getting you at the worst time in your entire life. I'm getting all of your financial information, all of your dirty laundry. People are hurting. So if patients in regards to my clients, if they're being very, very difficult or just like nothing I'm saying is getting through to them, I'll take a minute, I step back, and I'll come and reach back out to them maybe like in an hour or so. Because now I need to get myself together because they're not hearing anything that I'm saying. And the same thing with attorneys. If they are super difficult, nasty, rude, I just don't answer the email. I put it in my client's folder and I'm like, you're not even worth me sending a sentence to. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a walkover. I'm not a pushover. So there's been more than a couple times that I've told other attorneys, you're going to be professional and you're going to be respectful in these emails. And Sometimes that makes them nicer. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yes, patience with other people, I think, is the biggest stretcher of all, is to really focus on, okay, I can do this, and be patient with them and show grace. And I have found that one of my best practices for being patient with others is to step back and have a spirit of gratitude, not just grace, but also gratitude. So especially if it's an individual, a family member, or, someone colleague that is really testing your patience, stepping back and thinking about the things that you are grateful for, even with that individual, will just completely shift your mindset into that place of gratitude. And suddenly it diffuses it in your brain. You can't control them, but you can certainly control yourself. And so having patience and grace with sometimes, is sometimes just our own mindset, how we choose to react.
That is so true. Like, so it's like, you can't choose what they say, but you can like control how you respond and how you react. So it's like, is me responding this way going to help the situation? I mean, I know right away you're like, it felt great, but seriously, take a second, especially if you're writing it. Like, it's one thing to say it on the phone, but if you're typing this stuff, you're texting it, you're emailing it, posting on social media, you need to be very careful, especially with what I do, because that can absolutely be used against you. So I always tell my clients, because it's very, it's much easier said than done. If you're having a very difficult time with the spouse or the parent, take a minute. Unless it's about your children, don't respond, because this can be used against you in court. So it's like, I always tell my clients, let the other side rant. I know it's so much easier said than done, but it gets easier. If you keep practicing, you keep at it, it gets easier. If it's not going to help your situation, don't respond. You don't need to defend yourself. And I see that a lot too. Well, no, I have to get the last, why, who, why? Who are you defending yourself to? The other parent? Like, that's why you're divorcing them, or that's why you're not together anymore. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't. So don't defend yourself. Just let it go.
Joyce Meyer says it's not about the patience, it's how we behave, or waiting. It's about how we behave while we're waiting, and that waiting period for things to change, whether it's going through the divorce and waiting for that to be over, or, dealing with bad personalities, how we behave in that situation. Or when we're praying, and we're asking God for a miracle and we're not seeing it, we should be speaking as if it were, the word talks about speaking the word life into, the situation. And so I think words have such huge power. Our tongues are so powerful that as we are being patient, as we are waiting, how we behave in our faith is going to be tested, especially I'm sure you see that on a daily basis with people's faith being tested in these difficult situations.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah. I would love to hear a little bit about how you encourage your clients. You already talked about a little bit about their reactions, but as a believer, and they're walking through these tough times and their faith is being tested, what are some of the ways that you have encouraged them in that season?
So what we try to do now, not all of our clients are believers. We don't ask about your faith, because it doesn't matter what you are, we're here to help you. So, but one thing we do, and we tell all of our clients when we're having a hearing coming up, or we're going into mediation, or like something big is happening on their case, I always let them know, hey, listen, we're praying for you. We're right here with you. We're not going anywhere. I tell my clients all the time, we are in this together. We are right here with you. If you need anything, you let us know. With a lot of my clients, we have a lot of domestic violence issues. So sometimes police have to get involved, maybe DCF, which is the Department of Children and Families. They might have to get involved in stuff because maybe there's abuse going on. So with our clients, I tell them, listen, I'm going to also check my messages a couple times on the weekends. We want to make sure you're okay. If we're going to start the case and we need to go serve their spouse or the parent, meaning serving by meaning you give them the court paperwork, I always make sure, are you in a safe place? Can you go to a hotel? Can you go to a family member? Like, we really care about you. And we want you to know that we really care about you. That's why with the counseling, if I say my clients are so psychologically overwhelmed, it's like you might go into because people tend to date the same kinds of people over and over again. So I don't want you to come back to this kind of marriage or relationship. So I want to get you healthy mentally for after your case is over, so you don't ever come back to me for like maybe, God forbid, another divorce, the same kind of person. I don't want to ever see you for that again. So we're always telling them we're praying for you. If you need us, we're here. If you need to talk to us, we're here and stuff like that. But we always tell them, you're not alone. We're going to be with you the entire step of the way. And then I also tell clients, we'll be with you after the case is over, especially if the kids are really young. The high likelihood of you coming back to court to change something or something happening is very, very high. So I always tell clients, listen, we're with you till these kids turn 18 if you want us to be. We are with you in this together. So I try to just let them, and then when they're second guessing themselves with what either the parent or the spouse is saying, I try to bring them back down to earth because a lot of mind manipulation happens and or psychological abuse happens, and then they start thinking they're crazy, and it's like, you're not. Everything you're thinking is very valid. These are very valid concerns, and if they're doing something they're not supposed to, we're going to bring it to the judge. So I always try to give them peace of mind and let them know it's going to be okay. You're not alone. We're in this together, and we are going to try to get you the best outcome that we possibly can for you and your children. So
that's wonderful. I love that. Well, that's such good wisdom. And, one of the things that I love to find out from women that join us, Ashley, is how, like, from a practical perspective, how did you have the faith? How did you step into choosing your law career as a whole? Like, what was that thing in you that said, I want to be an attorney? Like, talk about your faith walk there.
So actually it's crazy. When I was in high school, I took an accounting class and like a legal class. And I was like, I'm not going to go to school for all those years. So I'm going to go be an accountant. And then so I went to school to be an accountant and I had one semester left to graduate, one. And then nothing was making sense. And I've always done fairly well in school and nothing was making sense. I wasn't doing well. And so I ended up like taking a sabbatical. Like, I took like a semester off and I came back, changed my major and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, you know what? I am going to go to law school. So I'm like, well, joke's on me. So, but the reason why I wanted to be an attorney was because I wanted to make a difference. Like, I know that might be a cliche answer, but that really was why I wanted to become an attorney. So I was originally going to be an immigration attorney before I went to law school and was going to change it to animal law. So I originally applied to law school and originally went because I wanted to be an immigration attorney. And the reason why is because I had friends from other countries who came here. They were legal. They had their paperwork, but they were being deported because either they couldn't get it renewed in time, maybe their attorney didn't do like what they were supposed to. So they got sent back. So that's the reason why I wanted to end up becoming an attorney, because I wanted to help those coming to this country who were coming here. And I just really wanted to help give people a second chance. I wanted to fight for those that don't have a voice. And the more and more I get in God's word, I have come to see, even today, I was actually reading in Exodus this morning, and it said, like, we're supposed to help people. We're supposed to help them. We're not supposed to lie. We're not supposed to bear false witness. And we are not supposed to protect people who are going to lie in court. And we're supposed to do the right thing if a case does go to court. And, and actually that's mentioned quite a few times throughout the Bible is, we need to do what's right. Don't lie, and so hold up the law, do it ethically, do it with integrity. So that's why I became an attorney.
I love that. I love it. So all of you out there who think all attorneys are bad, Ashley's here to say, no, they aren't. Because they're not.
We're not all bad. Some of us really do care what happens to you.
100%. So let's talk a little bit. One of our pillars in Masterpiece is authenticity. And I love how authentic you've been. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that. So I don't even have to ask you about authenticity because I see it all over you. You are such an authentic individual. You just share from your heart. And I love that. But what was that one piece of advice, Ashley, that somebody gave you when you were starting your business that was so powerful? You're like, that's the one thing I'll give anybody trying to start their own business.
That is really good. So I can't apply it to everyone, but I can apply to some areas. So there was a piece of advice I got. I was probably maybe like 9 months into my business, maybe a little bit less. I don't remember. And I'll never forget, this came from another attorney. So I was kind of like, should I charge for consultations? Because in the beginning I wasn't, because I didn't really have anyone. I didn't have clients. I didn't have people referring me at that time. So I didn't charge for consultations. Well, in family law, some people do, some people don't. Some will charge their hourly rate. I don't charge for an hourly rate. I charge less than half of what my hourly rate is, and I'll talk to you up to an hour. So the piece of advice that he gave me, because I was not charging for consultations at that time, what he said to me, and I never forgot, and I tried to share this with other people, is if someone's not going to pay for your consultation, they are not going to pay your retainer. And I never forgot that. Now, obviously, that can be applied to absolutely all of your listeners, but I never, ever forgot that piece of information. I never forgot that. And the next day I implemented consultations, and I've never looked back. So, and just so everyone knows, I don't keep that money. That actually goes to pay my paralegal, taxes, and business expenses. So it's not money. So it's
well, you know what?
money.
And there's nothing wrong if you did, though, because, you know, Ashley, even John Maxwell, when I got certified through his program as a coach, and he was very clear. He was like, people they see value in the things they pay for. And every single time that I've done things for, now granted, I have a ministry and I do a lot for free, but when it comes to business, when I do not charge, like one time I was doing a program and I gave it away to a bunch of women just because I wanted to get it going, blah, blah, blah.
Sure. And
can I tell you, 75% of them never showed up, but they're so excited, so thankful. They asked for it to be free. They asked for the program, and then they didn't even show up, because when you don't have skin in the game, Correct. There's no value to you. And so that is a really valuable lesson. And I love that you shared that, because I do feel like oftentimes people feel like they shouldn't charge, like even in ministry. Well, it takes money to make money. It also takes money to even provide a service through ministry, but yet sometimes people have this thing where, well, why are they charging for a ministry? Well, because there's cost to keeping the doors open, like your paralegal, like you discussed, and etc. So yes, I think that's a really valuable lesson. And as we are going back to patience, right? You're building a business. You're not where you want to be. Sometimes people aren't patient enough, and they will just start trying to give lots of freebies, doing this and doing that, and with all of the intentions to build their business. Now, obviously, if you have an online platform, that's a great way to get leads. So I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about services. Your time is valuable. Anybody listening to this, your time is valuable. You can give away other things, but when you're giving away your time, you can't get that back. So you want to make sure that it counts the most.
And you're so right, Tina, 100% with what you're saying and everything. And it's like, and that kept me from not wanting to charge, was because I was like, well, I don't know, whatever. But it's like, I went to school for a long time, and it's like, and I have student loans, and it's like, with what I do, especially, it's like a lot of times when people reach out, they want to just hear what you have to say, then they'll go do it on their own. And listen, if you want to go do it on your own, I'm totally fine with that. But that's why I started charging for consultations and stuff. So I was going to say another piece of advice. So this would be one more thing I'll add to what you're saying. So because not everyone can charge for what we just talked about, so I'll leave with something else. don't be available 100% of the time. Don't, because you need to turn off. In the beginning, when I first started my business, I would respond like at 8 or 9 through Facebook. I would respond like at 7, 8. Like, stop, don't do that. Like, do not be available 100% of the time, because honestly, how often are those people even like really grateful? I can't even tell you, going back in my mind, like how many people actually were like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, an attorney messaged me at 9. No, like almost no one said thank you. Almost no one said thank you for messaging them at 9 or 8 or 7 in the morning before I was open. So here I am working my butt off, trying to be such a overachiever, helping you. And no one was even really saying thank you.
Oh my goodness. That's such a, it's interesting because I'm also launching a health and wellness program besides what I do in the ministry with Masterpiece Women. And our founder, as well as our top leader, who I'm connected directly to, both take Sundays off. They take their Sabbath. And I thought, what a valuable, and think about Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby, all these other Christian organizations. I thought, what a great precedence to set when you show people, there's my dog,
to take time off and value your time.
Exactly. To take time off and value your time, because it is imperative as a business owner that you have your family set first, because you don't want to end up having to call Ashley. You want to have your priorities straight. Succeeding is so important, but putting God first, and then your family, and then the other. And it kind of does go back, when you think about it, back to even patience of trusting God with the outcomes. Our time is just so valuable. And the reality is that as we set, as leaders, and we set that precedence, we will encourage our other team members and the people that work for us, the people that we have influence over, to do the same. Because God, in Exodus, that was actually is interesting, because when you're talking about that, I thought, I did this whole series on Exodus, and the thing that he emphasized to me so much was about taking my Sabbath, making sure that I had my Sabbath. And then even when we did our retreat, it was all on abide, because it's so intentional, right? Because if we abide in him, and if we're really staying connected to the vine, he gives us the wisdom. He gives us the patience. We have the patience to deal with people. We have the patience to deal with the timing in which he's accomplishing the goals in our lives. But he also, I believe, gives huge, huge blessings for being obedient, for being faithful to him and trusting him. And because he's got us, he's got the outcome all ready for us. So it is really good stuff. So thank you for sharing that. That's a great piece of advice. So, all right. Well, Ashley, we're just about ready to tie this up today in a perfect package with a bow on it. Thank you for being here. What would you leave the women with? Oh, wait, you didn't mention actually how they could get free things, not free, excuse me. We said no freebies. But if they're wanting to do it on their own, you have a whole system. Talk to us about that real quick.
Sure. So I will absolutely give that information to you, because I don't expect anyone to like remember it. But so I created a separate business. It's called Pro Say, meaning PRO Say, SE, Florida Family Law. So what it is, it's to help people who cannot afford a family law attorney fill out the Florida Family Law form. So it's cheaper than going to a paralegal firm. Now, it's only for Florida law, because I'm only licensed in Florida, so I can only give Florida advice. But if you go to the Florida Supreme Court website, and the videos have the link, has the name of the forms, and we go through the forms, how to fill it out, what the legal jargon means, and I explain it all in a Zoom video and stuff. So each video is like $50, which is less than going to a paralegal firm, who also cannot give you legal advice. So if anyone does not know, in Florida, if someone tries to give you any kind of legal advice, it is a 3rd-degree felony unless they're a licensed attorney. So it is very, very serious. So when you go to a paralegal firm, they can't give you any legal advice. They can tell you paperwork, kind of give you some guidance, but they can't give you any legal advice. So this is a licensed attorney going through the forms. What does this mean? What does this jargon mean? How do you fill it out? So I really try to do that for people who can't afford an attorney. So it would save them hundreds to thousands of dollars. And we will be adding more videos and stuff like that. But right now, the videos that are up are if you're filling out the divorce paperwork, if you're doing paternity paperwork, which is if you're not married to someone but you have a child with them, so that paperwork, and financial documents as well. So if you're doing a paternity case, a divorce case, or a modification, which is when you're coming back to court to change things, you're going to need those financial documents. So there's a couple different videos, they're like around 30 minutes each or whatever, but it's to help people who can't afford an attorney. So I truly, truly hope that it helps.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Well, have a wonderful, wonderful day. It's been a pleasure having you today. And I look forward to connecting with you further and learning more from you. I'm going to have to follow you on your social media. So guys, we're going to have all of Ashley's links down below. So if you have any questions, you want to check things out, you can reach out to her. And for those of you who are not in our membership, we are doing our Think and Grow Rich with a biblical application right now. One of the best books you'll ever do for building business and changing your mindset. And we also have a online program in there that we're doing this season, is all about building your own online business. So feel free to check it all out and come join us. It's free for the first 30 days. So we look forward to having you.
That's awesome.
Have a great one, Ashley. Thank you.